but to Seychelles there are some fundamental issues. Like you're talking about a webinar earlier, like okay,
Yeah.
but somebody for just imagine an average person to log in for a webinar and listen to a webinar, the cost of data of
Fair.
so what is the way of this online business? Yes, payment is one problem you have, okay, and cost of internet here is very high. Okay.
Even cost aside, the fact that like, will you actually be able to host the webinar?
Yes.
We've done Zoom calls, yeah. But I'll tell you the answer to both of those things, and it's simple. I mean, I'm not breaking any rules by saying that. The first thing is the PayPal thing. You need to be able to take PayPal to be able to buy or sell anything online, and we can't take it in Seychelles. If you've got a relative overseas, they can actually do that. You trust, they can do that bit for you. If they live in England and they've got a bank account in England and they've got a proper PayPal account, they can help you out with that. And not most, but a lot of Seychellois people have got relatives in England, America, Australia. In fact, there's a bigger Seychellois population in those countries than there is in Seychelles.
But to be honest, I don't agree with that, because if you're doing a business, you need to do it in a proper structured manner. So you can't expect, yes, you can expect family and friends to help you. But this kind of a thing, because when you are doing a business, you need to get some recognition from the bank that you want. It's evolved. So you can't.
What I'll say to that, Jude, is you have to start somewhere. I absolutely agree with you. You've got to be legit. You have to do it properly. It's all about credibility, but you need to start somewhere, and that's one of the ways to start. The next thing that I can say to you is, you were talking about webinars. We've done Zoom calls and they work. Let me answer that. We've done Zoom calls in Seychelles and they work. Now, yes, the internet is an issue, because we've been mad about a certain internet service provider. In fact, at home, I can tell you I have 2 service providers just in case one doesn't work. So that when I get up in the morning, I've got an emergency one. So I've got one that's always, and I don't even need to say the names. They know who they are. One, it's pot luck whether it works or not. The other one works all the time, but it's expensive. So that's my emergency one. If the A doesn't work, then I go to the B. Now that's me, but that's not everybody. I'm going to try to do my best to help people, but what can I say? I can put the stuff out there and people have to receive it. It's not going to be for everyone, and some people as well, you can give them the best stuff and they're always going to find an excuse as to why it doesn't work. Eleanor will tell you a story about somebody in England. I forget the guy's name now, I can never remember his name, but I read his story, and he didn't even have a computer, and he had to go upstairs to borrow his neighbour's computer, didn't he, when he got started on the internet. And that's how he started making money online. Then he wrote a book and sold it. And I mean, he's probably making hundreds of thousands of pounds every month now, after a year or 2 years or whatever. But he didn't even have a computer. There's a guy, if any of you on the Financial Friday forum, have a look at it. And if you're not, I'll invite you to it, who I interviewed. I put the interview online actually, literally yesterday. I finished doing it yesterday. The guy was homeless for 10 years. And he just basically raised himself up by the bootstraps, did the right things, and found himself installing home entertainment systems in America in the homes of celebrities. And for 10 years, he made 100% of his business on referrals. His whole story is on my Financial Friday forum in 3 parts. It's an amazing story. He's an amazing guy actually as well. So I'll invite you, if you haven't already, if you're not already on there, you can learn his story. There's always an excuse not to do things, and then there's always people that are going to defy all the obstacles, and they're just going to crack on and do it. Look at the Sylvester Stallone story on YouTube as well. The Sylvester Stallone Rocky story. It's a very inspiring story. He knew that he was worth $100,000 or whatever, and he wanted to be a movie star. And if you look at him, he got rejected by everyone. And then somebody even said to him, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $100,000, but I want to give the part to somebody else. You can't play the main part. And you got no money. He'd already sold his dog. He'd pawned his wife's jewelry. He had to get food. He said no. He said, I must play the part. And in the end, he got to play the part, and they gave him the money, and then he went back and bought his dog. And the funny part of it is when he basically sold his dog, and he went back to the same shop, and then he saw the guy who bought his dog, and the guy saw him on the TV in Rocky when it came out, and he said, "Oh, it's you, isn't it?" And he had to pay $10,000 for his dog, something like that. It's on there. It's a really, really lovely story, but a very, very inspiring story. And I like to create more inspiring stories, and I'd like to have one in Seychelles. Why can't we? Well, I've said this before in ad talks. Why can't we have a young Seychelles kid that comes out there and starts making, I don't know, 10 or 20 pounds or dollars online, and then in about 6 or 7 months he sets us all alight and he says, well, last year I did 10,000 pounds. Why not? Why can't it happen here? We've got as much chance in Seychelles as other people have. I was just saying, I'm coaching a Seychelles lady who works for NASA. So Seychelles people have got to some of the most amazing places in the world. There's a Seychelles guy, when I was doing some research when I came here, Mr. Mallet, who was a World Cup referee. Seychelles. My own father, poor guy from Parne, that's where he came from, as you know, yeah. Besentan and all that. He goes in, this was in the 70s, he goes into business with the head of a global brand. It was Brother as in Brother Electronics, and they had Kingsgate House, Seychelles Television Network, which was the first company here that did TVs, 2 or 3 duty-free shops, the Vista de Mar Hotel. That in itself is an amazing story, and it's very close to home as well. Do you see? So, and they didn't even have the internet in those days. So there's always, an excuse, and there's always people that can do that. Just get up and do it. So, any other questions? Right. Okay. So you've all understood everything. Right. What I'm going to say to all of you folks now is, if you can grab a pen. You've got, I think there's papers, put it on a referral slip or whatever, and if you can write down this address, and if you go there, this will be your first step. Now, the website address that you have to write down is Missing Piece, MissingPiece.today, missingpiece.today. And if you go to that website address, you will be able to watch a video, and it's a very timely video because it's of where we are now, and there's a little questionnaire about purpose that you can complete on there as well. So if you can go ahead and do that, and that'll be your first step. And the reason why I call that Missing Piece, which a lot of people will be able to relate to, is because of buying big shiny objects and all those internet marketing programs. There was always a missing piece. It's like when you go to B&Q or IKEA, you always find a missing screw. So I decided to call it the Missing Piece. So there you are. So if you do that and you put your details in, then you can watch the video and download these things, and then I'll let you know the next bit, invite you to webinars and things like that, where I'll be dispelling some more information.
Okay.
There you go. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Wow.
If we do have questions, can
The
we
video is going to finish in 1
on the
minute.
forum?
Maybe right on time.
If we do have questions later on, let's say they pop up after, can
Yes.
we still send you some?